So in this video, we are gonna go through a step-by-step guide on how to configure a Cloudflare tunnel so that you're able to access remotely your DSM console, Synology console, from the internet through a secure connection using Cloudflare tunnels. You probably are aware of all this configuration. If not, I am sharing with you this link here, which explains it in more detail. So the first step is logging into our Synology. You will see that the whole process is using a default folder that we are going to create now. We create a folder inside a Docker folder. This is just for demo purposes. We're calling it demo Cloudflare YouTube, for instance. So within this folder, we're going to be saving all the different files that are going to be created during the setup process. So right after you create a folder, the very first thing that you have to do, and this is very important, is adjust the permissions that this folder has. This is mandatory because it is needed for the Cloudflare, the Docker container to run properly. So the first thing we're going to do is to download the last image available of Cloudflare D. You will see that there are many different versions of the image. Cloudflare guys are publishing a different image like every 2 weeks or something like that. So we're choosing this one, which is the current one as we are recording this video. But the process is going to be the same with future versions of the image. So the moment that we have the image downloaded, you can see here that I have different versions of the image. This is the one that we have just downloaded. The very first step we need to do before starting the container is, as I said you before, adjusting the permissions of the folder that we just created. So for that, we are going to be SSHing into the Synology. And let me the password here. So we go to our folder we just created at the beginning of the video. Here it is, yeah. So we make sure that the permissions are adjusted by default. These are the permissions of the folder we created through the GUI. So for that, we chown on this folder to these permissions. The UID and the group ID must be 65532. So we hit enter and let's check that it has been adjusted. So this is the one, yes. So please make sure that you complete this step before starting the container. So we get back to the image we just downloaded, and now we can launch the well, but before launching, let me log into Cloudflare. This is also something which you need to make sure before. You have to have a domain managed by Cloudflare. In this case, in my case, this is the one that I have. Obviously, you do need that for the tunnel to run. So we start the container. We adjust the name. It doesn't matter really. the name of the container, because as you will see, we're going to be creating different versions of the container to run the whole configuration process. So we map the folder we created at the beginning of the video, which is under, yes, this one here. We need to map this folder into this path inside the container. It is /home/nonroot/.cloudflare_d. We adjust the network to share with the host. And then on the last tab, we go here under command. We have to use the first command, which is tunnel login. So this is pretty much it. We just can start to run the container when we save. And you will see under containers, if we go to the bottom here, you see the container is running. So this first container is going to be running until we complete one step to log into the tunnel. As you see here, if you open the logs, the container is asking you to log in and authorize the execution of the container. So this is, in reality, this is linking the tunnel to your Cloudflare account. So we click here, we open the link, and we copy and paste the URL here. And you will see that Cloudflare is asking us to authorize this domain. So they are asking you to authorize the tunnel to be linked with this domain. You click authorize, and then with that, essentially what Cloudflare does is creating or downloading a certificate, which is going to be saved in the folder we created at the beginning. So as you can see here, if we refresh the logs, you have there the certificate under this path. So we can now have a look at the folder, and as you see, this is the file, the certificate file that has been downloaded by running this container. We check it, and we see also the file is in here. So the next step is going to be to create a tunnel. So now that we have the certificate, we will execute again, this time a new container using the same image, but this time changing the command. Well, I mean, there are different ways to do this thing. I tend to, export the configuration of the container we just run. I save the configuration of the container within the same folder. I mean, there are some other ways to do this, but this is just the way I typically iterate. So as you see here, there is a JSON file which has been created. It is including the configuration of the container. And what we essentially need to do now is just change the command that is used when you start a container. So the next command we have to execute is tunnel create, and we name the tunnel, whatever is the name. Here I'm using Sino/tunnel, which is save the file with this command change. And now we can import the configuration we just modified, which is here in this JSON file. Now we have to give a different name to the container. So this time let's call it create, because we are creating a tunnel. A new container is created. So we can just run it, and it is going to be stopped right after we start it, as you see here. So the container automatically stops because it has done its job, which is essentially creating the tunnel. And as you can see here, a new JSON file has been created. This file is containing all the credentials of the tunnel we just created. So you can see the secret and the tunnel ID and some other stuff. So this is the second file that we need for our tunnel to be run. So the next step is going to be to create a new file which is containing these ingress rules. So what this file defines are the different paths that are going to be accessible from your Cloudflare proxy. We just copy this. We create a folder in which we are going to be creating this new file. The reason why I'm doing this way is just because I want to quickly edit this file. I don't want to go to the terminal. So we rename. We can remove the content of this file, and we just copy this thing and paste it here. So we're going to be adjusting the content of this in a second. Let's move it back to the main folder first. Paste it here. So the name of the file is config.yaml. This is including on all the ingress rules. So we need to adjust with some data. The first one is the name of the tunnel. So the name of the tunnel is the name of the JSON file here. So we just copy the first part of the name of the file, and we just remove this and paste this name. The next is going to be the path to find this JSON file. So as you can see here, we need to also adjust the path to get to the credentials file. In the container case, it is going to be /home/nonroot/.cloudflare_d. This is the folder within the container we map to our local folder. And then we can get rid of this thing. We will just define one access, one host. We can complete this with different hosts in the future, but for now, for this demo, we're just going to be creating one host, which is going to be using my domain, the one that I'm hosting in Cloudflare. And then here, I'm going to be using the port in which my DSM is exposed. In my case, is 5550. So we hit save. And now that we have the ingress rules created, the next step is going to be executing again the container, but this time we're going to be changing the command to a different one. So I repeat as I did before. So I export the configuration. I will save it into my folder. So a new JSON file is created. This time is this one here. I edit the file. And just change the command. Now, the command is going to be creating a DNS entry into my Cloudflare account. So the command is for that is tunnel root DNS, then the name of the tunnel. This is the name that I gave on the step before, the previous step, and the name of the host. This has to be the one that I include into the config YAML. So before running the container, let me get back to Cloudflare. We go into the domain and the DNS entries here. So these are just some tests that I did before. So now that we have this command, we're going to be saving and running the well, first we save it, we import into a new container. This is the JSON I just modified. There's one here. And so I'm going to be importing this new JSON, which I save here. I think it was this one here. I changed the name because a new container is going to be created. Let's call it DNS. And the moment I save it, a new one is going to be created, this one here. So I run it. It's going to be a run and a stop. As you see, as you see here, it is already stopped. So if we get back to, well, we open the logs, this is what the container execution did, which is essentially it added a new CNAME under my DNS. If we refresh now here in Cloudflare, you will see that there is a new entry created, which is here. So as you can see, the host is called Synology. The tunnel name is this one here. And actually this is, this is pretty much all that we have to do. So now the only thing remaining is to, again, modify again the JSON, and we are going to be changing the command. This is the last time that we're doing this, because this is the command that has to be running for the tunnel to be open all the time. So the command is tunnel run, name of the tunnel. We click save here, and I save it into this JSON file. So we create a new a Docker importing the configuration, which is this one here. We're going to give it a name, meaningful, because this is the tunnel, this is the container which is going to be always running. This is our tunnel. So let's say YouTube demo Cloudflare D. And as you can see here, a new container is created. And when we start it, this time the container is not going to be stopped, and this is going to be running all the time. Let's check the logs of it. And here you can see, the tunnel is established. Well, now let's just clean all these containers that we use for the configuration. We can get rid of this one, and the one for the tunnel creation, we can remove it. The one with that created the DNS entry, we can also remove it. We don't need it anymore. And also on our on the configuration folder, we can also get rid of all these JSONs we created for the configuration. So the only and also this folder. So the only three files that we need are these three here. You can even remove the third one. So you just need the config and the JSON with the tunnel credentials. And now let's test if we can access remotely our Synology. So for that, we go to the host CNAME that we defined here. This is pointing to our tunnel. So when we try to access this, it should go straight to my DSN. And yes, so as you can see here, we can access remotely our NAS. We are using an SSL connection, and the certificate is going to be managed by CLOUDFLARE. So yeah, I hope you find it useful. Just as a reminder, this is the configuration that we have just created. Thank you for watching. Please hit like and subscribe.